I made up my mind to go see my wife at work as a CEO. There was a notice at the door that said, "Only authorized personnel." The guard laughed and replied, "Sir, I see her husband every day. He's coming out right now. I choose to go along with it." When I told the security guy at Meridian Technologies that I was Lauren's husband, he chuckled. "I see her husband here every day, sir. There he is right now." He pointed to the doors made of glass. There was a man in a charcoal Tom Ford suit walking through the lobby. In his early 40s, he walked with confidence and wore an expensive watch that caught the afternoon light. He was the kind of guy who would have looked good on the cover of Forbes. "Mr. Sterling," the guard called. "Your wife is still in her 3-0 meeting. Should be finished in around 20 minutes. Frank Sterling, the man with the security badge, nodded and walked toward the bank of elevators. He hadn't seen me yet. I was standing to the side with a takeout bag from Osteria, Lauren's favorite Italian restaurant in the city. My heart was doing something unusual inside of me. Not racing, simply stopping and beginning, like when a car engine doesn't work right. 28 years. Lauren and I had been married for 28 years, but she evidently had another husband at work. Frank pushed the button for the elevator, took out his phone, and started to scroll. Every part of me told me to approach him, to go over there and ask him what the hell he thought he was doing calling himself my wife's husband, to create a fuss, to demand answers. But something made me pause. It could have been the way the security officer said it, so nonchalant and sure, like it was common information and everyone knew it, except me. "You know what?" I told the guard, keeping my voice steady. "I believe I've gone to the incorrect building. Not Meridian Tech, but Gerald Pharmaceuticals." The guard looked like he didn't know what to do. "You mentioned you were the spouse of Mrs. Sterling." I told them I was a family friend. "My name is Gerald. I must have gotten my wires crossed." I made myself laugh. "It's been a long day." I put the bag of food on the security desk. "Could you please make sure Lauren gets this? Just say that Gerald left it. Friend of the family." The guard shrugged his shoulders. "Of course. I left before my legs gave out. Lauren and I had been married since 1996. We met when we were both 23. I just got my accounting degree. She finished her MBA at Northwestern. She was really smart. Aiming high. She was the kind of woman who made plans for 5 years at a time and then kept them. I was the one who stayed calm. The one that works. The man who took care of our money, ran our house, paid the bills, and put money into our retirement accounts. Lauren always stated that I was her rock and that she could take risks at work because she knew I would keep things calm at home. She rose quickly. She became a director at 30, a vice president at 35, and the CEO of Meridian Technologies, a tech business that makes AI-driven logistics software, at 43. In 8 years, she had turned it from a failing company into a $200 million business. I was proud of her. So very proud. I had supported her through every late night, every business trip, and every weekend she spent going over the numbers instead of going out to dinner with me. That's what you do when you care about someone. You help them reach their goals. We didn't have any kids. Lauren had never wanted them. They said they would ruin her career path. At first, I was sad, but I had to accept it. Her job was like a child to her. I got that. Or at least I thought I did. Now I was in my car in the Meridian Technologies parking lot, holding the steering wheel and trying to make sense of what I'd just seen. Frank Sterling, Lauren's operations manager. I had only met him once, at a workplace holiday party 2 years ago. Big dude. Charming. Lauren's VP every day. Not a boyfriend. Not a good partner. Husband. I didn't go home right away. I couldn't stand being alone in the house. The one I had cleaned all day. The one I had made Lauren's favorite dinner is lasagna. The one where I was going to surprise her with tickets to see Hamilton next month for our anniversary. Instead, I drove 3 blocks to a coffee shop and sat in a booth in the corner with a black coffee that I didn't drink. At 6:47 p.m, my phone rang. "Lauren. Working late again. Don't stay up. I love you." I looked at that message for a long time. I love you. Did she? Did she really love me? Or was I just... What? What is the backup plan? The safety net? The man who paid half the mortgage while she lived 2 lives? I typed and erased a dozen answers before I chose. Fine. The fridge has lasagna in it. There were 3 dots. Gone. Came back. You're the greatest. Talk to you later tonight. I put my phone down on the table and attempted to calm down. At 11:23 p.m, Lauren got home. I was in the living room acting like I was reading a book. In fact, I had been looking at the same page for 3 hours. She said, "Hey," and put her luggage down at the door. She looked worn out. Hair is a little musty. The lipstick wore off. "How was your day?" I asked. My voice sounded normal. That astonished me. Tiring. Meetings all afternoon in a row. 4 o'clock board meeting. Frank and I then had to look at the Q3 estimates. She went to the kitchen. "Did you say there is lasagna?" "Yes. In the fridge." I heard her moving about in the kitchen. The microwave is buzzing. The door of the fridge opening and closing. The noises of my wife being in our home that I'm used to. Our house. Was it still our home? Or was that a lie too? She came back with a plate of reheated lasagna and sat down in the recliner across from me. "This is just right. I am quite hungry. I actually came by your office today," I added in a casual way. "I brought you lunch from Osteria." She stopped for a second in the middle of a bite. A small pause that most people wouldn't notice. But I had been married to her for 20 years. "You did?" I didn't get anything. I handed it to Frank Sterling. Thought he could pass it on. She took another bite. Bitten. Swallowed. He didn't say anything about it. It might have been lost in the shuffle. "You know it's a busy day." She was not telling the truth. Perfectly. Not a single fracture in her calm. "How is Frank?" I asked. "Is he a kind guy?" "He's awesome. The best VP I've ever had. You know, he really gets the vision. We agree on almost everything. In sync. That's great. It's important to have a good working connection." "Yes, for sure." She smiled at me. The same smile that made me fall in love with her 28 years ago. "Thanks for trying to bring me food, though. That was nice. At any time." We stayed there for a time. She is eating lasagna. Me acting like I'm reading. Like a regular couple on a Tuesday night. But nothing was normal anymore. I waited till she fell asleep. Lauren always slept soundly. She had been running on coffee and adrenaline for years. So when she eventually collapsed, she knew how to shut down entirely. She was out cold by midnight. I went to her study. The door was never locked. Why would it be? I was married to her. She had faith in me. The laptop sat on her desk, closed but not locked. I had known her password for years. 061596 was the date of our wedding. I opened the laptop, my hands shaking a little, and I felt like a burglar in my own home. She had already opened her email. Tons of messages. I opened the laptop, my hands shaking a little. I felt like a criminal in my own home. The email she sent was already open. A lot of messages. I had no idea where to begin. I began with her calendar. At first glance, the appointments looked normal. Conferences, board calls, and meetings. But then I started to see patterns. Dinner with F. At Illinois Posto, 7 p.m. That was 2 weeks ago. Illinois Posto was a lovely Italian restaurant in the West Loop. Tables with candles on them. Piano music played live. Not a good spot to take your VP for a business meal. Retreat on the weekend. The Grand Geneva Resort was supposed to happen last month. I looked through the resort's website. The suites cost $450 a night. Lauren had told me that it was a conference for women executives. I looked at her credit card bills. Found the Grand Geneva charge. 2 rooms. Both are on the business card. No, hold on. 1 room. The other charge was dropped. 1 room. 2 persons. My stomach sank. I continued going. Found more meals. More travels. A pattern that has been going on for about 3 years. But it was all in code. Everything can be denied. Dinner parties for work. Company getaways. Exercises for establishing teams. except for the fact that Frank's name was on all of them. I put the laptop down and went to bed. I stood at the doorway and watched Lauren sleep. She looked calm. Not guilty. I had entire faith in her. I never questioned or suspected her, although she had been lying to me for 3 years. I called in ill to work the next day. For the first time in 6 years. I worked as a senior accountant for Monroe & Associates, a medium-sized company in the Loop. Good job, steady, and dull. A job that covers the bills but isn't really exciting to talk about at dinner parties. Lauren made 3 times as much money as I did. I never felt bad about that. I felt her success was our success. Lauren kissed my forehead and told me to feel better before she left for work. That's when I really started digging. I looked through every drawer in her study, every file cabinet, every box in her closet, and even the back of her jewelry drawer, where she kept a bunch of costume necklaces she never wore. I got a key. Just a key. Silver. Key for a normal apartment. No tag. But there was a keychain tag with an address on it. Unit 214 of Harborview Apartments. In River North, Harborview was a high-end residential development. I have drove past it many times. A building with 30 floors. Windows that go from floor to ceiling. A place where a studio cost $2,500 a month to rent. I took the key and drove there. There were slots in the parking garage with unit numbers on them. A black Mercedes GLE was parked in space 214. The automobile of Frank Sterling. I knew it from the parking lot at work. As I rode the elevator to the second story, my hands were shaking. Found Unit 214. The key fit. The door swung open. There was a fully equipped flat within. Not a short-term rental. A house. Floors made of wood. The apartment was full of modern furniture and fresh flowers on the coffee table. The air smelled like Lauren's Chanel No. 5 perfume, which she only wore on special occasions. There were pictures of Lauren and Frank at the beach, at a restaurant, on a hiking trail, and in every picture, Lauren wasn't wearing her wedding ring. I walked through the apartment in a daze. The kitchen had 2 sets of dishes and 2 coffee mugs on the counter, one for him and one for her. The bedroom made me sick. There was an A-size bed with expensive linens, and Lauren's clothes were hanging next to Frank's suits in the closet. Her shoes were lined up next to his, like they had been living together for years, like they were married. I noticed a folder on the dresser that said Lauren's unique calligraphy says future plans. I opened it. Real estate listings for homes in Evanston, Oak Park, and Wilmette, all in the $800,000 to $1.2 million area, with remarks in the margins. There are good schools nearby, and Frank's parents live close by. I love the kitchen, and there are vacation brochures for Santorini, Tokyo, New Zealand, and other ideal honeymoon spots. Under all of that, there are legal documents and divorce consultation summaries that are 18 months old. Lauren had talked to 3 different divorce lawyers to find the best offer. The notes were cold, clinical, and strategic. They framed the differences as irreconcilable and cited Gerald's lack of desire and emotional distance as examples of how he failed to support my career progress. She had been making a case against me. There were a lot of examples. Times I was reported to have hurt her by asking her to miss work events. Times I was emotionally unavailable because I didn't want to talk about business politics at dinner. Times when I showed a lack of ambition by being happy with my accounting job. Every typical point of conflict in a marriage was turned into proof that I wasn't good enough. The most recent note was written 3 weeks ago. Timeline: you must apply for divorce by January 2025. Done by June. F and I will get married by Christmas 2025. She had everything planned out. Every little thing. My successor was already living with her part of the time. They had already chosen their future home. I was only in her way. I took pictures of everything. Each page. Every piece of paper. All the pictures. After that, I sat on their couch. Their couch. In their home. In their private life, I struggled to come to terms with the fact that my 28-year marriage had been a lie for at least 3 years. I got back in my car and drove away. Drove without a destination. At 3:47 in the afternoon, my phone rang. Lauren. I sent it to voicemail. She called again at 4:15 p.m., then again at 4:32 p.m., and then she texted, "Where are you? Do you feel better?" I didn't answer. I parked about 6 p.m. and finally listened to her voicemails. "Hi there. Just checking in. I hope you're feeling better. Please call me when you get this. Gerald. I'm starting to worry. You're not responding. Are you okay? No joke. Where are you? I'm going to call hospitals now. Please call me back." The worry in her voice seemed so sincere. She was good. Very good. I called her again. "Oh, thank God." She answered right away. "Where have you been? I was really worried. I just drove around. Needed nice. Very good." I called her again. "Thank God," she answered right away. "Where have you been? I was really worried. Just drove around. Needed to get my mind clear. I'm okay. You made me afraid. Are you coming back home? Home? What a funny thing. Yes, I'll be there soon. Okay. I'm going home early. On the way, I'll get some Thai food. Your fave. The one I like most." She still knew what my favorite cuisine was. Still acted like they cared about the little things. "Sounds excellent." She said, "I love you." "Yes," I said. "You too." I hung up before she could hear that my voice was cracking. We had Thai food at the dining room table that night. Lauren informed me about her day. There was a problem with a client, a board member who was hard to deal with, and the normal corporate turmoil. I nodded in the right places, said the right things, and acted like a loving spouse, even though I knew she was going to divorce me in a few months and marry Frank Sterling. She said we should watch a movie after dinner. We sat down on the couch with her head on my shoulder, exactly like we had done 1,000 times before. But suddenly I could smell her costly perfume. And I knew she had been at that apartment today, living her other life with her other husband. During a calm part of the movie, she said, "Gerald." "Yes? Are we all right? You appear far away." Far away. That word came from her notes. Part of her argument against me. "I'm okay. Still not feeling great." "Okay." She held my hand. "If you need anything, just let me know." "Yes, I will." We watched the whole movie. Went to sleep. She went to sleep right away, curled up on her side. I stayed up until 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling and making plans for what to do next. I called in ill again the next day. Lauren left for work at 7:15 a.m. She kissed my forehead and told me to get some rest. As soon as she left, I hurried back to her study. I had worked as an accountant for 22 years. I knew how to find problems with money, and now that I knew what to look for, the pattern was clear. Our combined checking account always included deposits from both of our paychecks. Mine is $6,200 a month after taxes. Lauren's is about $11,000 a month after taxes. But our bills, like our mortgage, energy, groceries, insurance, and everything else, came to roughly $8,500 a month. We should have been putting away roughly $8,700 every month. That should be more than $300,000 in savings over 3 years. There was $47,000 in our savings account. Where did the $250,000 go? I got Lauren's own credit card. The one she said was for company costs that she would get back. $3,200 a month for 3 years at Harborview Apartments, or $115,200. $24,000 worth of furniture from West Elm, Pottery Barn, and Crate and Barrel. Travel, $31,000 to a number of high-end places. Dining out, with hundreds of charges at high-end restaurants. She had been using our shared money, my money, to pay for her whole secret life. She had been playing house with Frank Sterling in a $3,200 a month apartment with money I had made while I was eating leftovers and drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic. I wrote down everything, including 3 years' worth of bank statements, credit card information, and transactions between investment accounts. After that, I began to look at the corporate files of Meridian Technologies. This is where my accounting skills truly helped me. I knew how to read financial statements, how to find problems, and how to discover the story behind the numbers. The tale was really bad. Lauren had been covertly rebuilding the company without the board's permission to make Frank Sterling her successor. She had given him control over important accounts, increased resources to his department, and set him up for a promotion to COO, a job that didn't exist yet. She was making him a gilded ladder to the top while also making herself look like a kingmaker. But she had done it by using corporate resources without permission and making financial decisions that were better for her personal connection than for the shareholders. That was bad behavior by the company, maybe even fraud. I took pictures of everything, put them in files, and made a chronology. After that, I called Richard Morrison. Richard Morrison was the head of Meridian Technologies board of directors. I had seen him twice at work occasions. Former hedge fund manager, in his late 60s, and very smart. When he answered, I said, "Gerald Hartman, the husband of Lauren. We met 2 years ago at the holiday party." "Of course. How are you? Is Lauren okay?" "She's okay. I'm really phoning to talk about some things that worry me about the company." "A break? What kinds of worries?" "The kind that entail restructuring a firm without permission and using company resources for personal gain." "Are you free to meet today?" "Another break. Lauren. This time, it will be longer. In 2 hours, I can be at your office. I do my job from home. I'll send you an SMS with the address." Richard Morrison got there at 2 p.m. He was tall, thin, and had silver hair. He was wearing a suit that probably cost more than my automobile. I gave him a cup of coffee. He said yes. We were in my living room, the place where Lauren and I had watched movies, celebrated anniversaries, and established a life together. The room that was only a prop in her double existence. Richard said, "Show me what you've got." I took out my laptop and showed him everything. The flat, the pictures, the divorce papers, and the restructuring of the business. With each new piece of information, his face got darker. He said, "Jesus Christ," when I showed him the money problems. "Has she been changing the budgets for capital expenditures? It looks like they didn't get board approval. And specifically to help Frank Sterling's department. What made her do that?" I got the pictures from the apartment. Richard's jaw got tight. "Are they having an affair?" "More than that. They live together some of the time. She wants to leave me and marry him. And she's been getting him ready to run the business. That is a huge conflict of interest. She has a duty to the board and the shareholders." He came to a stop, put his hand through his hair. "Do you have copies of all of this?" "This folder has everything in it." I gave him a USB drive. All of it. Bank records, business filings, images, and a timeline. "I need to set up an emergency board meeting." "I thought so." He got up. "I'm sorry, Gerald, for what she did to you personally. But also, thanks. If this had gone on for much longer, the corporation may have been in big trouble." I told them I wasn't doing it for revenge, but that was only partly true. I'm doing it because it's the truth, and I'm done pretending I don't see what's right in front of me. Richard shook my hand. "I'll get in touch." At 6:15 p.m., Lauren came home. I was making dinner, chicken stir-fry, something easy, when she came in earlier than usual. I could tell Richard had already called the emergency board meeting just by looking at her expression. "You son of a bitch," she said. Her voice was trembling. "You called Richard Morrison? My husband is trying to ruin my career?" I kept mixing the vegetables. Did not turn around. I told the board several things that I thought they should know. "That's it. What do you want to know?" "You showed him pictures of yourself. You looked at my private files. Your private things in our shared flat. Our combined bank account pays for your personal life." She took hold of my arm. I spun around. "This is not the same. This is how people see me as a professional. And having sex with your VP while making changes to the firm that will help him personally? That's what a professional would do." Her face turned white. "What do you want?" she asked in a low voice. "Cash? What about the house?" "What?" "Lauren, I don't want anything from you. You started this 3 years ago. I'm just not going to be the fool while you carry out your scheme." "What do you mean by plan?" I took out my phone. I showed her the pictures I had taken in the apartment. Every picture shows her face. The folder labeled Future Plans had this plan. You would divorce me by January, marry Frank by Christmas, and live happily ever after in your Evanston dream home. She sat down heavily on a kitchen chair and said, "How did you find the key to your other life, Gerald? I supported every decision you made, every late night, every business trip, and every sacrifice because I loved you. I thought we were working on something together. We were. No. You were making a plan to get out. And I was paying for it." She began to cry. This time, real tears. Not the kind that plays with people. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for things to turn out this way. What did you want to happen? Were you going to inform me before or after you filed for divorce?" She didn't say anything. That's what I thought too. I switched off the heat. Took my keys. "Where are you headed?" she asked. "Place to stay. By Monday, I'll have the divorce paperwork ready." Lauren, there's nothing else to say. You made your choice a long time ago. I'm just getting up to speed. On that Monday, I filed for divorce. They hired Jennifer Kowalski, a family law lawyer with 23 years of experience. She whistled after looking at my proof. This is one of the clearest examples of bad behavior in a marriage I've ever seen. The hidden apartment. The lie about money. The written record of her plans to leave you. This divorce is going to go very well for you. I don't care about doing well. I just want to leave. You should care. She used money from her marriage to pay for an affair. That's cheating on your finances. That is very important to Illinois law. That same afternoon, the board meeting took place. Richard called me at 5:47 p.m., but I wasn't there. Frank Sterling has been fired right away. Lauren is on probation for administrative reasons. Her power is quite limited until a comprehensive investigation is done. And the restructuring? Being turned around. We hired a forensic accountant to check everything out. If we discover that she broke her fiduciary duty or committed fraud, she might be charged with a crime, not merely fired. Oh my God. Gerald, she made this house of cards. You just knocked it down. That night, Lauren called me. I was at a Marriott near a hair, eating Chinese food from a takeout place and watching ESPN. She said, "You ruined everything." She was in tears. Frank was let go from his employment. The board is looking into me. My job is over. How could you do this? How could I do that? My voice was cold. You spent 3 years getting ready to replace me. You took $250,000 from our joint account to pay for your affair. You lied to your company to help your lover. And you're wondering how I could do this? I was going to tell you. When? After you asked for a divorce? After you married Frank like you said you would by Christmas? Nothing. Did you know that? I know everything, Lauren. Everything. The apartment, the lawyers, the timeline, and the listings for real estate. Please. Her voice cracked. We can make this better. I'm going to break up with Frank. We can get counseling. I'll do anything you ask. You already got Frank fired. And now you want to leave him too? At least be honest about who you betray. That's not right. Is that fair? I laughed. Even I thought it sounded bitter. You want to talk about being fair? You lied to him for 28 years. You built my trust so you could betray me in the best way possible. You wrote down every little fight as proof that I was wrong. While I was cooking dinner, doing laundry, and helping you with your profession, you made a legal case. I loved you. No, you loved what I gave you. Stability, financial security, and a solid base on which to build your empire. You started scheming to trade me in as soon as you discovered someone who was a better fit for your life. It wasn't like that. It was just like that. And you know what the worst part is? You were going to give me up. It wasn't like that. It was just like that. And you know what the worst part is? You were going to make me the bad guy. All those notes about how I don't want to do anything. The remoteness I feel emotionally. I didn't help you with your career. You were planning to end our marriage and blame me for it. She was crying now. Gerald, please. 28 years. That must signify something. It did. In the past tense. You did a great job when you received the key to apartment 214. I hung up the phone. She called back 6 times. I put a block on her number. It took 4 months for the divorce to happen. At first, Lauren fought it, but Jennifer was right. There was a lot of proof. I received the home. She gets to keep her automobile and her bad name. The board's investigation found that Lauren had broken her fiduciary obligation by changing the company's structure to help her personal connection. In March 2025, she had to quit. No golden parachute, no big severance, just gone. Frank Sterling sued Lauren and Meridian Tech for firing him without cause. It was thrown out. It turns out that having an affair with your boss and getting benefits from illegal corporate restructuring is a reason to be fired. I heard that they broke up 3 months after everything fell apart. Frank said that Lauren ruined his career. Lauren said that Frank wasn't worth the sacrifice. Neither of them was responsible for the choices they made. In June, I sold the house. Too many things to remember. There are too many ghosts. I bought a condo in Lakeview. Less big. Easier. Mine. We started going out again in August. Not a big deal. Just checking things out. Getting back to trusting. It's taking a long time. Dr. Sarah Chen, a clinical psychologist with 18 years of expertise, believes that's typical. That betrayal pain will take time to heal, so I shouldn't rush it. I'm not in a hurry anymore. One choice, one truth, and one day at a time. About 8 months after the divorce was official, I saw Lauren once. She was at Whole Foods looking at vegetables that were grown without chemicals. She had lost weight, looked fatigued, and we glanced at each other. She stopped, and I nodded and kept going. She didn't come with me. I thought about whether or not I should feel sorry for her. She had lost her job, her love, and her good name. But then I thought of apartment 214. The folder with plans for the future. The cold, planned notes about how to make a case against me. I didn't feel sorry anymore. I felt free. Frank Sterling sent me a LinkedIn message 2 years after everything blew up. I realize you don't have to talk to me, but I wanted to say I'm sorry about everything. I knew she was already married. I knew what we were doing was wrong. I convinced myself that the marriage was finished and that we were in love, which made everything okay. It didn't. You should have gotten more. Everyone at Meridian did too. I'm sorry. I looked at that message for a long time. After that, I closed it without answering. Some apologies arrive too late to make a difference. Some betrayals are not forgivable. And sometimes the greatest thing to do when someone has ruined your life is to say nothing. Some people ask me if I wish I had done things differently. If I should have talked to Lauren about it in private. Let her explain. No, the answer is no. Because she had 3 years to explain. 3 years to be honest. 3 years to choose between our marriage and her adultery. She chose Frank, the apartment, and the future she was making without me. I merely made sure that everyone else knew what she had picked. 3 years after the divorce, I'm sitting in my condo on a Saturday morning, drinking coffee and reading the news. My phone vibrates. A text from Amy, my girlfriend. I met her at a bookshop, and she knows everything about me and still selected me. Brunch at 11? I was thinking about that French place you like. I smile and send a text back. Great. See you there. I put my phone down and glance out the window at Lake Michigan. Today, the water is gray, windy and choppy. My home is quiet behind me. Little. Truthful. No hidden flats. No secret lives. No lies that were meticulously planned. Only the truth. Easy. It hurts. No cost. And guess what? That's all there is. That is more than enough. That's all there is.